Welcome back to another episode of Soul Said So. I am your lovely host, the Mystic Mover, where here I help you get out of your mind and back into your soul. This week we're going to be talking about growing in ways that you can't measure. I know it's very human nature for us to be able to understand, especially in the culture that we live in now. Everything is analytic driven, numbers, data. In order for us to really understand the impact and progress that we're making, we like to use data to reflect and see if we're really breaking ground the way that we think that we are. But I want to push the perspective of what if your progress is actually invisible? What if you're growing in ways that you cannot yet measure? Everything can't be measured. And I'll tell you what, even when you can't measure something, it can still turn out to be just as if you measured it, okay? I love to cook, and I'm not one of the girls who get the tablespoons and the measuring cups. Honey, I just let the spirit speak when I'm cooking. Do not ask me recipe. All I can tell you is the ingredients that you need and season to your liking, because I don't measure it, and it is always it comes out amazing every single time. And sometimes I wish I do exactly what I did. Like yesterday I cooked some real good chicken and I'm like, okay, I did that to perfection, but I was just in my zone. I wasn't really keeping up with how much I was using, but it turned out perfectly even without me having to measure to make sure that I gave the right proportion. I just really listened to myself, trusted myself, and moved forward with what I had going on. And this is going to be very similar to what we're going to be talking about today. So it's time for the soul check in, and I want you to sit, breathe, connect with your body, placing your hands over your heart, and just think. What are you currently rushing or forcing because you're afraid that if it isn't visible, it isn't real? How many times have you looked at your own life and felt like you were not making progress because you could not physically see that progress? Like you didn't have the proof to show that you were doing the thing or that the thing was actually moving? How many times? So, my life several times, all of the time. I'm always walking by faith. I'm always walking by faith. And let me tell you something, that is the hardest walk. That's the hardest walk because you look crazy. People think like, she done lost it. Like, what's going on? And it's not for anybody else to understand. But you would like to be able for people to see what you see by faith. Like, I'm doing this by faith. I know that you can't see what I see or feel what I feel or know what I know. And it's very difficult in those moments to be able to express or to be able to show when you don't have anything to show because it's all invisible. So when you're thinking about what you are rushing or forcing because it is invisible, this could be anything. It could be your progress in life, your influence over others, your impact towards others. This could be a simple increase in your finances, your status, and other goals that you set for yourself. I even think about um, when you enter into a room with other people and everybody start asking for your accolades. What do you do? Where do you work? Like they're trying to identify and highlight status. And a lot of times, if your identity is connected to who you are, what you do, what you can produce, and what you can show, you can feel very much like you don't belong in that room. You can feel very much like inadequate amongst other people who may have something to show. But having something to show does not always implicate that you are making the appropriate progress. Do you hear me? There is a thing called the hidden phase. And I know the hidden phase all too well. That hidden phase can cause so much anxiety simply because you're consistently building. You feel it deep on the inside of you, but you don't have any earthly way to show and prove those things out. It's hidden, like you're showing up. You might not have all of the people who are like the listeners and all of the things that are coming in, but you're still showing up, you're still hitting, and it can be very exhausting. You can like confuse yourself and start to measure your worth by what you can simply prove to others rather than what you know to be true within your own spirit. I want to invite you to start looking within your own spirit. What is it that you know to be true based upon what you feel deep down on the inside when nobody's around, when there's nobody to prove anything to, when there's nobody who needs any type of reassurance that you're doing what you say that you're doing and that what you are believing and have faith for, like it has manifested. Like, what is that thing? Because you're going to have to start to develop a real relationship with that thing. The only way that something can truly be birthed out into the world is to be nurtured, is to be believed in. How do you feel when people don't believe in you? You try to stay away from them. So if you're not believing in your own dreams and your own manifestations, they're going to try to stay away from you because you don't believe me, you don't support me. Why am I here? So okay, let's shift over to the topic one, topic one, topic one. So, topic one, we're talking about the mechanics of invisible transformation, right? I have been learning about the Chinese bamboo, and the Chinese bamboo. I really like to look at nature all of the time for everything because we are nature and it teaches you so much about yourself. So the Chinese bamboo, it grows entirely underground for the first few years. And you would think, just imagine you done planted you a Chinese bamboo and you expect to see a sprout in the next few months. Baby, try the next few years. You're not seeing anything. And there could be a moment in that where you like, okay, is this thing even growing? Did I plant it right? Did I do something wrong? Like all of these questions. But the Chinese bamboo plant, it is the focus on it is the root system, right? It needs a very intricate root system because what is going to come up out that ground needs something that's very foundational, that has a structure to be able to hold the heaviness of what's going to uproot. It's going to be so naked to the eye, nothing you're going to be able to see. You ain't going to be able to see what's happening down. I mean, if you can, you need to give me whatever tool you're using, but you're not going to be able to see what's happening underground. But just looking at this, I challenge you to just go look it up. Looking at what's happening underground, how it's building intense root system. It is so amazing because for years it's internally building and you can't see nothing. But when it finally does start to burst through that ground, it's gonna go like feet at a time. Like like quick, moving. Because it has taken the time in the hidden phase and space to really build the foundation of what is necessary to hold it when it does start to break through the ground. And I think that that is so amazing. And I'm learning in my own process and progress with myself as I'm entering into a completely new identity of myself and just understanding more parts of myself. Every single thing that I look at as not being seen, not being heard, not being understood is truly my root system being built. And if I choose to measure my value words and progress on the things that I am seeing, that means I'm neglecting the things that aren't being seen, which is the very foundation of what's going to carry me when it is time for something to show. So I started to look at my own self and I'm like, okay, how do I stop looking externally and worrying about the external? Because, hey, I know on the inside what's going on over here. But when others look in, what is it that they're seeing? What is it what they're understanding, especially when humans are so visual, when they need to be able to see, they want proof. Show me this, show me that. It's the show me state. I started now doing only internal data because I'm understanding that just like this Chinese bamboo that grows entirely underground, I am underground. Even though people can see me, I'm underground. I'm not reacting to things the same way I used to. Things that used to trigger me in a certain way, I'm not reacting to them in the same way. That is some underground work that has happened that we aren't even aware of. I'm kinder to myself. I'm speaking to myself differently. I'm making sure that I am intentionally doing affirmations, so much to the point now that even when I even try to go off into a negative thought, it's almost instantaneously that I come back out of that thought. I'm starting to set boundaries and I don't feel guilty about it. Like I'm really starting to understand the needs of myself and what I need, what it requires for me to show up as me and then have some left over. One of the biggest things that I have been really, really learning in this season of my life is the capacity to sit in discomfort while I'm expanding. Can you imagine being forced to grow on so many levels, but you are so uncomfortable financially, mentally, emotionally? All of these different areas of your life feel as if they are under attack all at once, but you're still being required to expand and become the person, shift into the identity of the one that you were created to be. But now I'm starting to grip and hold the capacity for these things all by slowing down. It's been one of the biggest things for me is to slow down, stop trying to rush, stop trying to speed up the process because the more that you try to speed up this process, the more anxious that you get, the less capacity that you have. And all of these things that I can say that has changed about me now, I wouldn't be able to say that if I kept speeding through the process because I wouldn't have made space for certain things to fizzle out or to develop on the inside of me. Massive progress. And I understand that the ego, it is gonna demand that give me some evidence so I can feel safe. My ego has been loud. I didn't know my ego was that loud. I've learned something about myself. Like, I need evidence. If I don't see it, I don't feel safe. But now I'm shifting over into understanding that my true inner authority requires the capacity to tolerate the silence of the waiting room. Oh my gosh. It is so hard to sit at a doctor's office. Like, please call me. Call me to the back. I don't want to be here. I don't like medical spaces. Hurry up and call me to the back. Let's do what we gotta do. Get this over so I can go. But the sitting and the waiting, and then don't let it be a lot of people in the room. It's a lot of people in the room. Now I gotta make sure that I'm intentionally quiet. The silence is killing me. Every time the door opens, I'm hoping that it's my name that's being called. And in that same way, in this season of my life, I am learning about the capacity to tolerate the silence of the waiting room. In that waiting room, there is so much that you can be doing. Are you used to abandoning yourself? Like making sure that you feel the noise with something, even if it's not the most positive or the most healthy thing? Reverting to old comfortable patterns just because, you don't have the, um, what is the word I'm looking for? the capacity, I guess we're just gonna say capacity to just sit and allow the expansion that is happening. Container. You don't have the container. But to sit in that uncertainty, that discomfort, and allow it to do what it need to do on the inside of you. These are your roots, just like that bamboo tree underground, that are starting to really cultivate, cultivate, and grasp onto the ground to build a foundation that is unstoppable, unshakable, unbreakable, because you are going to need it. As bad as you think that you need the thing that you want, you need the root system to be established even more. The ego just wants to get to a place where it knows that I was right. I can visually see it now. But the soul is always going to be guiding you. And it's going to be letting you know what, hey, even if you do get that thing and you do feel safe, it's only going to be temporary, because we don't have a foundation for this. We don't have the necessary essential elements that we need in order to maintain this when things start to grow. Whew. So, okay, word on my spirit. The word on my spirit for the week is soul. I want you to trust the darkness of the soul. Sit in a dark room, a real dark room, and see how quiet that it is. I mean, I don't know about you. I'll take my glasses off because I can't see nothing. But I mean, if you got 20/20, you can't really do too much but sit there and look around in the dark. But I like to really be in full darkness and really understand, like, what am I? What's the reason that I can't wait? What's the reason that I'm rushing? What is it that my soul is trying to talk to me and tell me about in this moment, in this present space, that needs to be established, that needs to have relationship developed with? Like, what parts of me do I need to start connecting with in order for me to make sure that the foundation is established and that it's strong? Because, when you start to be seen and go out and grow in certain ways, do you know how many people who will intentionally and unintentionally do certain things, say certain things, try to sabotage who you are? And you're going to have to know at the core and the root of who you are, why you do what you do. You're not going to be able to, the faith that carried you to wanting the thing is going to be the same faith you're going to need to maintain it. And if the faith to get to the thing is not as strong as it needs to be, maintaining it will not be either. So while you're sitting in the darkness of the soul and you are truly being planted, you're being planted. Everything around you that feels like it is a burden is a part of the planting process. And you do not need to try to dig up your seeds every 2 days just to check to see if they're growing, if they're still in the ground, like what's going on. You better start trusting that ground that you stand on, because that is going to be the foundation of everything that you build. Now, affirmation of the week. So as I bring this episode to a close, I want you to really, really focus on this affirmation for this week. Speak it over your life, speak it over your business, speak it over your body, over your mind, over all the elements of who you are becoming, okay? I trust the depth of my unseen growth. I am anchoring my roots, building my capacity, and honoring the silent evolution of my spirit. I do not need to prove my progress to know that I am transforming. I do not need to prove my progress to know that I am transforming. I do not need to prove my progress. I do not need to prove my progress. You don't need to prove your progress. Trust in the ground that you are standing on. So I hope this episode helped you in some way. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back with another episode every Wednesday, 11 a.m. on Soul Set. So, um, make sure you check out the long form content on YouTube. I'm going to be expanding more on things like this. And you can definitely leave me some comments on what you are wanting to expand on, or just, if it resonated with you, letting me know that. But until next time.